Happy New Year. This thing's not even on. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2025. Hope you had a great and wonderful holiday season. Let's kick off this new year with some good news. Okay, rates aren't good news, but the rest of it I think could be good news. So happy New Year. Happy 2025. Rates, they're showing in the sevens according to mortgagenewsdaily.com. They've been inching up. They were high sixes. Now we're low sevens. Here's a chart of the mortgage-backed securities. Remember, when it goes down like it has, that is bad. That means higher rates. The good news is, seems like we've kind of hit a low level, and maybe we can make a little comeback here, but I think it's going to go sideways here for a little bit. So time will tell. See if I'm right. As a reminder, the Fed did cut rates middle of December, but here's the part I want to make. Here's the good news. So this is the home price index. Case-Shiller is kind of like the, they're the ones that kind of have the most say, if you will, the month over month change, right, in terms of housing values, the home price index. The part I want to show about this graph is notice this is 3 years back, 2022, 2023, 2024. And if you look, basically January, every January, February, March is kind of the start to where the month over month appreciation for homes comes into play for the first half of the year. So it's amazing. Like the first 6 months in 2023, that was the first, 9 months, give or take. And then the first 4 or 5 of 2024. Ultimately, you see a lot of appreciation here coming in the beginning. And the reason why that's important is I just remind anybody out there looking to buy a home, now is a great time to buy historically over the last 3 years, because if you bought a home today, that means you'll get to capture the 2025 appreciation if history repeats itself. You'll get to capture the appreciation now compared to waiting. And so in that analysis, let's do the buy now, kind of the marry the home, date the rate. Because obviously rates, we think and hope, may come down. I'll show you those projections here in a second. But this is just a very simple calculation for something that we did earlier. It just shows if you bought today at a $700,000 home, this happened to be the example we were using. I realize that houses, not all houses are that much. But at the end of the day, if you bought today versus waiting 1 year, right, with the 4.1% appreciation, that's the area where we use the zip code. The computer does this for us, but it's got about a 4% appreciation, right? And the graph I showed you right before this was, 2 or 3% month over month. So that's not far off from what we've seen. And then long story short, you can push pause if you want to see this, but the two costs you got to think of is, okay, yes, I'm going to pay $182 more per month, which is about almost $2,200 a year. So if you figured you bought a house today, this is what that shows, that 4.1% appreciation. This time next year, you're going to have made this example $28,000, 28.7 of appreciation from buying today versus waiting a year. And when you factor in the cost of the higher payment you're paying today, that $182, that's about $2,184 a year. And let's pretend you got a refinance, just using a $3,500 for a refinance in this example. That means you made $23,000 buying today versus waiting for rates to come down. And remember this stat, guys, every 1% lower in rate, there's about 5 million potential home buyers that can come out. Doesn't mean everybody's going to buy, but 5 million more people can qualify for a loan if rates go down 1%. So what do we think rates are going to do? And this is just another example showing just how things are still selling above asking price and cash buyers, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to pause, feel free. But as far as the market itself, home builders, they see the future, the blue one, middle of where the little arrow is. Anything above 50 is good. And so the builders are expecting much better 2020, November, December, and into the future. They're expecting things to pick up. So where do they think rates are going to be? Part of that is, like we just talked about, where we think rates are going to be this time next year. And according to Realtor.com, National Association of Realtors, Zillow, and MBS Highway, they're all predicting something around that 6% range. Apparently, for whatever reason, Zillow didn't give the forecast. But everything I've seen and read said rates are going to be around that 6%. I'm going to be the contrarian and say that rates could still be around that 6.5 range, which was kind of where I thought the rates would end this year. At the beginning, this time last year, all these same talking heads thought rates would be in the mid 5s right now. So I was more right. I thought rates would be ending the year around 6.5 versus the 5.5. So I was significantly more right than these talking heads. I still think we may end up around 6.5 next year. I don't know that we'll hit that 5.75. I certainly hope so. But my point is, anybody looking to buy, you shouldn't wait for that 5.75 to come out. Buy today, or the rates are higher, because the lower rates go, the more people come out, and that pushes cost higher for homes. So the other neat part, if you got a buyer like, well, I'm going to wait because there was a crash, etc. The good news, 38% of people believe a housing crash is likely, and that's not good news, but it's down from 44%. So ultimately, as time goes by, in the very last one, economists say it's unlikely to see a crash. Look, nobody knows the future, but at the end of the day, if somebody says they're waiting for the crash, I wouldn't. Here's the hot spots to watch in 2025. Looks like Austin is at least, or San Antonio, pardon me, San Antonio, New Braunfels area made the map for Texas. You guys can see the part of the country that's there. Here's the other part. These 10 states are back up, Texas being one of them. My Washington buddy who's watching this, they're up too. Inventory is up compared to pre-pandemic levels. And inventory up sounds like a bad thing, but it's good because there's still a housing shortage. So if you look around the green places, right, the light blue, green, whatever color that is, this is where there are homes to purchase, right? It's really tough to buy a home. Look at Alaska, minus 44%. Look at, what is that? Just look at all these states all the brown, 48% up there and minus 40, minus 41 up in the New England area. It's really hard to buy a home when there are not a lot of homes for sale. So I think it's really important to get this message out. That's the work part of this. Let's get to the fun part. So this house for $295 million, because it's so close to the water in Florida, they're expecting it to be a real problem in about 30 years. So I was like, if you spend that kind of money, it better not just get flooded because of rising water tides or whatever's happening. This Atherton, California, the median home price, meaning the one in the middle, is $8 million, 7.9. I thought that was insane. So it shows the little map of where it is, basically San Francisco area, good for them. I thought that was interesting. So I use those two to lead up to this. Look where the happiest people are. California and Florida. Well, they're happy because apparently they're rich based on those two things we just saw. But Texas came in at a 45.6. Looks like we're left of center, not in a good way. You can see the happiest state is apparently Hawaii. So good for you guys. If you're living out there all by your lonesome, island fever, apparently not a problem for those folks. But you guys, I just think these kind of graphs I just love. And then the last place, I'm going to make fun to our neighbors to the east in Louisiana. No bueno, 33. No bueno. And lastly, I didn't know this. I don't know if it's true, so don't quote me on this, but supposedly online we saw this. If you go to Amazon app and you type in "thank my driver" in the search bar, supposedly it'll tip the most recent driver $5 at no charge. I don't know if that's true, but let's believe it. Try it, do it, and let's see what happens. So as always, you know what to do. Forward, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But more importantly, have a great start to this week. I know it's a short one. Have a great start to next week and next month or this month, because it's hard to have a great year if you don't have a great start. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but that'd be my recommendation. Get out there, hit the phones, meet people, tell everybody they need to buy, sell, or refi, because things are good or getting good. So if you have any questions, as always, when you think mortgage, think Mark.